Alright. Hey, what's going on everybody? Jared here, and today we'll be working on part 4 of how to do Flappy Bird using Swift 2 with Xcode. Today we'll be working on a lot of the design of our application, so we'll be adding a background, some coins instead of just some counter, and also just a little bit of motion into it. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, first thing we're going to do is open up our flappyclone.xcode project. So go ahead, open that up, and we're just going to make this a bit bigger. And also let's head back and we're going to open up our web browser of choice. I'm going to open up Safari. But what I'm searching for, you can just type in Flappy Bird text. Go ahead, click enter. And from there, you should be able to see this font right here called 04B_19 font. I think there's other fonts that look exactly like Flappy Bird, but this is the one that I like using, so I'm going to use it. So with this font, I'm going to go ahead and click download. And now that this has been downloaded, I'm just going to go right up here, click and drag that right over to the desktop area. And then we need to open this up and just double click on it to install our font into our system. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to really worry about that, but you would just click install font. But also with this font, we need to head back here and we need to go back to our Xcode project, and we're just going to click and drag the file that ends with .ttf, and we're going to drag that right into our Flappy clone project. Now in this, it has the destination. We want to copy items if needed, just so if we move our Flappy text font, it doesn't get moved within the project and it's lost. And also we need to say add to targets, and we're going to add it to the target of our Flappy clone. Now go ahead, click finish, and we have moved our file in there. That is what all the text looks like. Now let's go ahead and make this a bit bigger, and we need to head over to our info.p list. And inside of this, we're going to add a new row, so I'm just going to right click, add row, and then just start typing in capital F fonts provided by application, and just tab that all in like so. And then inside of this, you should be able to drop down and you'll be able to list some items. So with this first item right here, we're just going to type in the name of our file name right up here. So our file name is 04B_19__.ttf. Then you can just click off of that. So now we have successfully put that font into our application, and now we actually need to grab that font. But sometimes the file name itself doesn't actually match up with the font name, so we need to first figure out what our font name is. So let's go up here to our create scene inside of our game scene.swift, and we're just going to type in print, open parentheses, close parentheses, and this will be a UI font dot family names. So it's going to print out all the family names relating to UI font, or the font styles that we like using.
Even have the ability to watch in 4K if you wanted to. Despite that, I still
just waiting for the simulator to load. Alright, so as you can see, that has loaded up. So let's actually head back over to our project, go over to the right side right here where it has the compiler, and this should be able to list all of our font names inside of here. So as you can see, here is our font name that we are looking for, 04B_19. So that is the font name. So you can just go ahead, highlight that, hit Command C to copy it, and then we can go back here and we can go ahead, shrink that down, and we're going to delete that print thing that we had inside of our create scene. And now we need to go over here where it creates our score label. And what we want to do is say score label dot font name will be equal to that of whatever we copied. So it's going to be 04B_19, as it listed at least in my compiler. Now let's go ahead, build and run this, and we should see that our numbers are a little bit cooler looking, Flappy Bird style. There you have it, that is our 0. Now I actually want this a little bit bigger, so I'm actually going to say score label dot font size, and I'm going to make this equal to, let's say, 60. And now let's go ahead, build and run that. So there you have it. That is how I want my number. Now you can see as we start playing our game, again, the 0 is like that, but also because it's a font, it changes accordingly according to our score. Now another thing many of you were asking me to do is how to stop the pipes after you die. And also another thing that I wanted to do was animate this button on rather than just popping it right on the scene. So we're actually going to head back over here to our create button, and we're going to say restart button dot set scale, and we're going to set the scale equal to 0. Now also right after the self.addChild restart button, we're going to say restart button dot run action, and we're going to run an action of an sk action dot scale to, and we're going to scale to 1.0, meaning the original scale of our button. And then we also need to set this with a duration of, I'm going to make this pretty quick, so 0.3 or 4, something like that. And now if we were to play this game right now, you should be able to see that as soon as we're going through here, we should be able to die, and our thing comes on in an animation-like way. So that is exactly how I wanted it. Now, as for pausing those pipes in the background, let's actually head back over to our project, and we're going to go to this did begin contact, and we're going to go right down here to the second one where the contact between the wall and the ghost happens. So inside of here, we can easily just say self.scene.speed will be equal to 0. Now this little piece of code will actually stop the pipes and everything that are on the scene. So if we were to play this game, let's go ahead, start playing the game. We can go through some of the pipes, and as soon as we die, all the pipes stop. But the problem with pausing everything inside of the scene, we actually don't have our restart button popping up. So the way we need to do this is actually to contact all of the wall pairs that are inside of our scene and stop them specifically. So we need to go back into our project and delete that, and we just need to type in enumerate child nodes with name. Now the name here is not actually like the same as our ghost, like that's the name of it. No, we actually need to go down here to our wall pair, and we need to say wall pair.name. And we're going to make this equal to open quotation mark, close quotation mark, and this will be our wall pair. So that is the internal name of our wall pair, and we need to grab every child node with that wall pair name. So we're going to go up here to our did begin contact again, and we need to say with name, open quotation mark, close quotation mark, and this will be our wall pair, like so. Then after this, it's asking for a block, so we're going to say open curly bracket, enter, close curly bracket. And the reason it's giving me this error is because it was expecting a node. So we actually need to go in here, and we're going to just first type in node, and then we're going to type in our error. So essentially this node right here will be equivalent to that of all the wall pair nodes that we pick up inside of our scene. And this error here will be, if there's an error, we can call it. I'm not going to mess with the error in this circumstance, so I'm just going to say node.speed will be equal to 0. And now if we were to build and run this, that should actually pause all of the things that are inside of our scene. So let's go ahead, keep going. And let's collide with the wall. And we get a collision, the thing pops up onto our scene, but there is a problem. As you can see, there's more stuff coming onto our scene. So we need to actually head back over here, and we're also going to say self.remove all actions. Now, because we are removing all the actions, we actually called create button first. So we're going to just copy that, and we're going to put it right underneath our enumerate child nodes with name. So let's go ahead, build and run this now. And as soon as we can get us a few points, and as soon as we hit collide with everything, the thing pops up, and we no longer get pipes just coming onto our scene. Now, another thing I want to do is actually make that restart button a little bit better. You can of course do whatever you want with this restart button, but I just have this image here and I want to import that into my restart button. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm just going to shrink my project down. I'm going to go right down here into my assets.xc assets, and I'm just going to click and drag that restart button right into my scene like so. And also just letting you know, this restart button right here is a 400 by 200 image. That way it's double the pixel density of what we're actually trying to use. So now we have that restart button. We're going to go back over to our game scene.swift, and inside of here we can go over to our create restart button, create this button right down here. And we're going to go right up here and just delete this where it says the SK sprite node. We're going to say open parentheses. We're going to give it the image named, and of course this will be the same name of our image that we have, so it'll be restart btn. And then go ahead, close off those parentheses. And now we also need to set the size of our restart button, so we're going to say restart button.size will be equal to that of our CG size make, and then our width of course will be 200 and our height will be 100. So now if we were to build and run this again, that should fix our problems. So there you have it. We can go ahead, start playing with our Flappy Ghost right now, and as soon as we touch the pipe we die, and there is our restart button. And one thing you noticed is actually that the ghost hit the wall twice, and it called the restart button twice, so we don't want to worry about that anymore. So we're going to go over here to our did begin contact, and we're just going to say if died is equivalent to false, then we want to do stuff inside of here, and we'll create the button. But also with this, we want to take this died equals true, and we're going to move that right inside of our if the died equals false. So now we can go ahead, build and run that, and we shouldn't get any more errors. There you go. Now another thing a lot of people were asking me is how to collide with the ground, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. We're just basically going to take everything that's inside of our collision with the wall, we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste that like so. And then all we need to really change is inside of this else if statement right here, we're just going to change anything that says wall over to ground. And now if we were to build and run this, we should actually have it colliding with the ground, and you'll die when you collide with the ground. So let's see, I collide with the ground and boom, I die. we can click restart and we restart our game. And now another thing that I don't think was actually that much of a request, but I like doing it. So our next step is actually to add a background into our application. So I have this background right here, and it is a 1080 by 1920 image. It'll be linked in the description down below if you want to download all these images that I'm using right here. So we are going to take this background. Let's go ahead, make this project a bit smaller, go over to our assets.xc assets, and we're going to click and drag this background right into our application. So now we have that background. Let's actually make this a bit bigger, and let's head over to our game scene.swift. And what we want to do is add 2 backgrounds so that they can continue looping throughout the whole time you're playing this game. So we're going to go right down here and say for I in 0 ... less than 2. Essentially meaning we're going to be creating 2 backgrounds. So we can add an open curly bracket, close curly bracket, and we're going to say let our background equal, we're going to make this equal an SKSprite node, and then open parentheses, this will be an image named, and of course the image that we just put in will be our background. Then also with this background, we want to set the anchor point over to 0. That way it's in the center of our scene and we can position it accordingly. So we can say background.anchor point will be equal to CG point 0. And now we also need to determine the position of both of these backgrounds, since one's going to be placed right in the center of our scene and the next one is actually going to be off to the left of our screen. So we're going to say background.position will be equal to that of a CG point make. Our Y value will be equal to 0 because we actually set the anchor point equal to CG point 0, so we're leaving it where it is. And for the X value, we're actually going to make this equal to CG float, and then open parentheses, and this will be our I value inside of that, and we're going to take that I value, and we're going to multiply that, and we're going to multiply that by our self.frame.width. Now we also need to add a name to our background so we can edit it later as it updates. So we're going to say background.name will be equal to that of our background. So we're just going to say open quotation mark, close quotation mark, background. And then lastly, we just say self.addChild, and we're going to add the child of our background that we just created. Now this adds the background onto our scene, and let's actually build and run this, see where we're at, because we might need to edit a few more things. So as you can see, the background actually loaded up a little bit weird. So we're going to go over to our project, go over to our game view controller.swift, and what we need to fix down here is say our scene.size will be equal to that of our self.view.bounds size, like so. So that is actually setting it to the size of our iPhone screen. So now if we were to build and run this, you can actually see that our background is still not exactly how we wanted it. We actually want to change the size of it now. So let's head back over to our project, go over to our game scene.swift, and we're going to say background.size will be equal to that of our self.view.bounds.size. And also it's asking for parentheses around it, so just add that. So let's go ahead, build and run this. And that is exactly how we wanted our background to be, so now we can actually start playing our game. And as you can see, the background is not moving yet. So let's actually start moving our background. So let's actually head back over to our project. We're going to go right down here to our update function. And one of the things we want to check inside of our update function is say if the game started is equivalent to true. We actually want our thing to start moving. But also with this, we want to say if died is equivalent to false, then we also want to do this stuff as well. Now what do we want to do? Well, we want to enumerate child nodes with name. And again, we named our child node name background. We're going to say using block, again, open parentheses, open curly bracket, enter, do all that. And then we're just going to say open parentheses, close parentheses, our node, and then our air, and then just say in. And now anything that we put inside of here will be edited. So first off, we actually want to change this node over to an SKSprite node. So we're going to say var background will be equal to that of our node, but we're going to make it as an SKSprite node. Now I'm going to actually change the name of this to BG, that way it's a little bit easier. And we want to update the position of our background every frame. So we're going to say BG dot position will be equal to that of a CG point make with an X value, and we're going to make this equal to our bg.position.x, and we're going to subtract a position of 2 every time, 2 pixels every time. That way it's going slowly. You can make it faster if you want by making this 5 or 4, whatever. Now with our Y value, we just want to set this equal to our bg.position.y. So now if we were to build and run this, we should actually have our background moving across the scene. So let's go ahead, start the game, and there is our background just moving across, and we have that kind of parallax effect going on. Now, if I were to keep playing on this game, if I can make it actually scroll through more than two backgrounds, there would actually be a blank space right after the second background. So in order to make this an infinite scrolling background, we need to head back over to our project, and we're going to say if our bg.position.x is less than or equal to that of our negative bg.size.width, then we can do the stuff right afterwards. So this is essentially meaning as soon as the background continues right off the scene and it's off the scene, not able to be visible anymore, then we want to actually add something inside of the scene again, another background, or position that scene differently. So we are going to say bg.position will be equal to that of a cg point make, and then open parenthesis, and our x value will be equal to bg.position.x plus our bg.size.width multiplied by 2. So that means we are putting it right off the right of the scene now. And now if we go over to this y value here, this should actually be the same, so we're just going to say bg.position.y. So now this should actually have infinite scrolling going on. So let's actually build and run this. It doesn't really look like I'll be able to make it past 2 of these backgrounds. So I'm going to go right over here, and I'm just going to change the speed of our background going through. So I'm going to make this like -6 or something. And that should make it easier for us to see that it's an infinite scrolling. That still doesn't help. Let's make it really fast. So as you can see, it is an infinite scrolling background. Now another thing someone asked me to do is actually add coins in the center of our pipe, so I have created this coin image right here. So there's our coin image, and I'm just going to take that and move it into our project. So I'm going to take our project, go over to our assets.xc assets, and just move this coin right in. Now we're essentially taking that image of the coin and we're going to place that inside of our score node. So let's head back over to our gamescene.swift. Let's make this a bit bigger again. And go over to our create walls function right here. Go over to our score node. And up here we're going to say let score node equal skSprite node. And we're just going to say open parentheses, image named. And we're going to make this equal to our coin. Now also with this we want to say our score node.size. And I'm going to change this equal to 50 and a height of 50 as well. So if we were to build and run this. So now we can actually start playing our game, and there are coins in the middle. Now one of the things that I don't want is these coins to be showing up this whole time. I want it to be as soon as they collide, we delete the coins. So let's go over to our project, go over to our did begin contact. But in this case, we actually want to delete only the coin. We don't want to delete the ghost. So we need to go ahead, and I'm actually just going to split this up into 2 different if statements. So right after this, I'm going to say open curly bracket, close curly bracket, and then off of the second one, this will be an else if statement. So I'm just going to say else if, like so. Now we can take everything that's inside of this else if statement right here. We're going to paste that right into our first if statement. Now again, these are the statements that are comparing our physics category.score and our ghost. So in the first if statement right here, we need to say first body dot node dot remove from parent. Like so. And then in the second if statement right down here, we're going to say second body dot node dot remove from parent. So now if we were to build and run that, we have our background, and we can go ahead, hit one of those coins, and you can see that they delete and we add our score. And I'm just going to quickly change back that background as that is annoying me. So I'm going to go down here and just switch that back to 2 and then build and run. So that is our finished Flappy Bird project. Now another thing I want to address is that as you're playing the game, as you can see as the pipes come in, they actually don't come in from off the screen. They start right on the edge of the screen, so you can actually see them just popping on and popping out. So let's actually head back over to our project, and we want to go to the place where it says move and remove. And what we want to do here is we're going to say let move pipes equal move by x, and we're going to let it move. And right after this distance, we're going to say plus 50. That way that we are getting the wall just move right out of the scene, and it's going to delete off scene rather than on the scene. And now we also need to build the pipes right off the scene. So we're going to go right down here to our create walls, and right down here inside of our wall pair. And right down here inside of our top wall.position and our bottom wall.position, we're going to go right down here to our self.frame.width, and we're going to say plus 25, and also do that for our bottom width, plus 25. And then we also need to do this with our score node.position, so just go plus 25. That way it's building right alongside of our top wall and our bottom wall. So now if we were to build and run this, we have everything smoothly coming in and out of the scene, as you can see. It's actually not building out of the scene properly, so let's actually go back here, go to our minus distance, or the distance to move, right here where it says let move pipes, and we're going to go skaction.move by x, and this will negative distance minus 50, not plus 50. Build and run that. And now we should be able to see our pipes coming in. We should be able to go through it, and now they're smoothly coming in and out of the scene, as you can see. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more videos like this from me in the future, be sure to subscribe. If you have any recommendations for future tutorials, or you just have comments about this tutorial, be sure to leave that down in the comments section down below, and I'll try to get to you as fast as possible. App of the day is Block Invasion, so be sure to go and check it out. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.